Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest today, Gary Dranow. I like this saying, it's on his website. Put music to our troubles and we will dance them away. Well, I got no troubles today. I'm been looking forward to this interview with Gary for quite some time. It's been difficult for him and for me to get on a schedule, but we're here. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Jeremiah, it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the show and have some time with you. You're a very busy guy. So let me do a little intro here. I'm going to highlight some of your accomplishments and some of your important work, and then we'll talk, Gary. So
Yes,
again,
we
my special musical guest today, Gary Dranow, Pete Ringmaster, famously of the Ringmaster Review, says this of Gary. It is fair to say that there is an adventuring spirit within Gary Dranow that is persistently looking for new possibilities and undertaking fresh adventures. The same can be said for Gary's music and a creative craving that explores, evolves, and never stands still. Gary Dranow is that Gary Dranow. Yes, he's a former professional skier, turned rock star, but born a rock star, who competed in the national standard race from 1987 to 2010. Gary was ranked #1 in his age group nationally and in the top 20 men overall in NASCAR. NASCAR is not NASCAR. It stands for National Standard Race and is the largest public grassroots ski racing program in the world. Gary held that title from 2005 to 2010 seasons, and then he became a USSA-certified professional ski coach. Gary made his mark racing as an instructor before founding the Modern Ski Racing Academy. But Gary's musical calling pretty much began at the moment he was age 11, a young man, when he heard Crossroads by Cream on the radio. The encounter with that song sparked a realization that he wanted to be a guitarist. That acknowledgement and intent were brought to life in the following day when his mother, what a good mother, she took him to Ernie Ball Guitar Shop in Santa Monica. I think it was in Santa Monica. I remember where it's at, but I lived down there for a while. Within a year, Gary started his first band, the New Invaders. Gary notably founded Spoiled Brats of California, a garment manufacturing company, which I think is very interesting. I know of it, and it's very cool to know that you founded that, Gary. You founded a mortgage brokerage company, First Manhattan Funding, FMF Inc. He developed and sold Cyborg Information Systems, a fully automated mortgage process software. You are a smart man. It has been a journey in life, as rich as Gary's music, with an acclaimed releases such as his 2023 album, Destiny Road, a record themed by his experiences with bipolar 1 disorder, and his new EP, Never Give Up. To be determined when that's released. We're going to tease you a little bit with the music, some of the music from that today. The latter keenly relishes the seeds of diversity with Gary's American blues rock-rooted sound. His songs open embracing a variety of alternative and rock flavors within Heartbread Contemplations. He's got a lot of other projects going as well and collaborations with musicians such as guitarist Chris Zupa from Australian progressive metalers Terra Maze and their new EDM project, Astrelix, and Ukrainian singer, producer Klim Apolkov. Did I say that correctly? I butchered it a little bit there, Gary.
it's
Klim.
clean.
Klim, okay. And I'd love to just pause for a second and say, welcome back. And we've missed you to all the Ukrainian listeners who have slowly started to listen to the show again. Love having you as a listener. Chris persistently pushes his boundaries in landscape of enterprise with Never Give Up. For one, a gratifying adventure for creator and listener alike. Welcome, Gary Dranow.
Hey, how you doing, Jeremiah? Glad to be here.
I am doing really well, and I'm listening to your accomplishments and the list of pursuits that have made up your life. I get a little weary, but luckily I've got your rock and roll to uplift my spirits if I get a little tired along the way.
Yeah, and we left out about four things that I did professionally that aren't even on the list. So there goes the life of someone that lives with bipolar. And for me, I always cycled on the high side or the fun side of the disorder. So I always was involved in something.
Yeah. Well, does since you brought it up, the bipolar one disorder, does that uh, make you more creative? Does it drive more creativity? Is it like, explain it a little bit to me, how it affects you or has
Well,
affected your life and your
it
decisions?
affects it affects everybody differently, but for me, um, what it was constant creative energy that had to be released, or I would get terribly frustrated. Um, and uh, my first album, not my first album, but my first album is Gary Dranow and Manic Emotions, was actually recorded in 1995 before I was diagnosed as a bipolar. And the song really chronicles life as a bipolar and the relationships that I had and lost because of my disorder. And that is the album that was released in May, finally in May of May of 2021. So it took me 20 years to get that song out, get that album out.
When were you diagnosed? Did you know early on, or how? At what point did you realize?
I'm Uh, well, I knew something was off, but I'm 70 years old now, and my parents never took me to see a therapist, and of course I had huge problems in school with my deportment,
Yeah.
my behavior. But I was diagnosed probably around 45 years old, but I wasn't properly treated for it until 2003 when a ski racing buddy of mine introduced me to his psychiatrist. Believe it or not, his name is Dr. Calm,
Hmm.
but it's spelled with a K, not a C. And he prescribed me the right cocktail of drugs, and I mellowed out a lot, and I've had four wives, uh, burned through the first three in 3 to 4 years each. And now I've been married to my fourth wife since I've been medicated for 21 years.
Wow. Well, that's congratulations on that. And uh, so you said that it fuels creativity, but also frustration if you're not able to finish it, or I imagine uh, hear it the way you want to hear it uh, for all those years. And then when you were diagnosed and you took the medication, did you lose anything as an artist? Did you lose
No,
any creativity?
no, not at all. Where I lost, this is completely unrelated, but in 1998, I had a stroke and I lost my inner ear. And so for about 5 years, um, because I could no longer hear music in my head, I didn't play. And I ran into a guy who said, it's a gift. You can't hear songs playing in your head. So if you write music again, everything you write will be original. And he couldn't have been more correct, and it got me back on the music train. And over the last 2 years, me and my two partners have penned over 70 songs.
Wow. Well, it's interesting how life can do that, isn't it? The bipolar disorder, and when you say the name, it almost feels like it doesn't, the word disorder throws off what could come from having that. I'm not saying it's something that you'd wish on anybody or yourself, but you took what you were given and used it to be creative, and then learned how to control it to be prolific, and really this beautiful burst of creativity, right, that you've experienced with writing the music and songs and collaborating. So it's interesting how life goes, that what could be seen as negative, you've turned into a positive twice now, or more than one, more than twice.
Yeah, I've lived many lives in my short 70 years, but uh, it it's a curse to some people, because if they cycle on the low side of bipolar, they get depressed. Fortunately for me, I didn't do that. I would cycle on the high end, but that came with its own issues of me
Mm-hmm.
being hyper aggressive. And that was a problem for me up until Dr. Calm came into my life.
What does that look like when you're hyper aggressive? What does that mean? That you're just a perfectionist, that you drive everybody around you yourself, or what's how did that manifest with you?
Well, all what you just said, but I was also very aggressive physically. Um, I did martial arts from the time I was 8 years old until 55, and I would take out my aggression on my sparring partners, and on occasions I don't want to account,
Yeah,
in the real world. So, uh, but it also helped me in the racing that I did, which
right.
when I was 15 years old, I turned professional in motocross. I became a professional skier. I was a professional stage race and time trial bicycle racer, and the aggression helped me with all my racing.
With the
Uh,
competition and
yeah,
winning, and yeah, I can see how
yeah,
that.
and the other thing it did for me is it lit a fire on my entrepreneurial streak, where you mentioned it earlier, the four businesses that I had, that came from bipolar creativity.
Hmm. So would you consider it beneficial and a gift in a way, in a weird way, to your life and to who you've become and driving you?
For me, absolutely, without
Yeah.
question.
All right, great. Gary Dranow, he's my special guest today. We're listening to music that he's released on the you can find it on Spotify and SoundCloud. You can find it everywhere. And we're going to go out to break with a song called Body Wise. Gary, what's this song about?
It was really inspired by my sister and my mother, God bless her, who just turned 99 yesterday, was always very critical of my sister's appearance. And that dynamic is what is expressed in Body Wise.
The lyrics, you wrote the lyrics?
I
They're
write all the lyrics for all my songs.
Oh, great. They're just beautiful. And I really want the listener to, throw on, if you don't have headphones on now, put them on. You want to listen to this song, take a close listen. It's not only beautiful musically, but lyrically, uh, maybe a little emotional. You did with that subject, you really crafted a great song here. I think it would speak to a lot of, and probably does speak to a lot of listeners. Gary Dranow and the Manic Emotions. You can follow them on Gary Dranow and the Manic Emotions on Instagram. Today on the show, we're featuring at the end and playing in its entirety, Down and Dirty Blues. We're listening to music and lyrics by Gary Dranow today on the show. You can follow Gary on Instagram at GJ Dranow, Dranow. On YouTube, Gary Dranow, All Things Music. Go to his website if you have a hard time remembering everything I just gave you. You can go to GaryDranow.net, very easy, and you can find all of his information there, including upcoming tours and music. A lot of great stuff there. On Spotify, Gary Dranow. The forthcoming album is Never Give Up. We'll be right back with more with Gary Dranow, and enjoy the music. We'll be right back.